This week on RSBANDB Update, Jagex's survival game RuneScape Dragonwilds is finally announced. With a first look in hand, we share our hopes, admire the environments, and highlight what the game must do to succeed. Also mounts, Abyssal Astral crafting, and 130 skills. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1031, recorded Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. Enter the Dragonwilds. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of RSBANDB Update. This week, big news on the Jagex front, the new survival-based game RuneScape Dragonwilds. We're going to talk about that. Tanis, welcome back to the show after a bit of sickness and spring break.
Thank you, Shane. Yeah, nothing like going on vacation sick. And
yeah,
this was not the when you're in your 20s on your way to spring break sick. This was the punch in the gut, old man dad, ugh.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was not fun. But
well, you're back.
Good to be back.
You're back. You're kicking. You're mounted up. We're all mounted up. More on that too.
Oh, we're mounted, all right.
Yeah. Also, Parnassius is here, everyone's second favorite Australian. Welcome back.
G'day all.
You're here to talk about Dragonwilds and, of course, or Dragonwilds. I gotta get the name right. It's only been known a few days. Dragonwilds.
Dragonwilds sounds better, but
yeah, I don't know where that's coming from, but in any case, April Fools as well, and a very, very important patch note as well. But before we get too far into the show, just a big huge thank you to our experienced tier Patreon members for whom without update would not be possible. That's Amos Reed, Dominic R, Drama Free, Harry, Jason S, Jesse W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Ricky A, Sio Aces, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, and Tim. Big huge thank you to everybody out there, and you'll hear more about our Patreon offerings a little bit later in the podcast. And if you want to follow along, full show notes can be found over at update.show. We also have the Discord at update.show/Discord, and the Friends chat can be found in-game at BitsBytes. It's here. Finally, the unannounced game, the survival game that we've been talking about in the shadows for what feels like years now has finally been announced. Yeah, because we knew it was a survival game when the CEO said that and popped up, right? But I also follow the Jagex listings on their jobs page, and for a while now, rather than calling it unannounced game, they've been calling it the survival game, I think, for about a year and a half or so. So it was, the cat was out of the bag that's what they were doing on that. Effectively, what this looks like to me is a combination between RuneScape and Valheim, and they say you'll embark on a dragon-slaying adventure on the long-forgotten continent of Ashenfall in a brand-new adventure built in Unreal 5. You'll level up skills to unlock powerful magical spells, harness the power of anima to shape the environment around you, uncover ancient dragonkin vaults, and battle legendary RuneScape creatures. Where do the both of you land on survival games?
So it's survival against other players, or is it survival against the environment?
The environment and NPCs.
Then I like it.
Okay. How about you, Tim?
I've never actually... I mean, it's been years since back in my 20s we did, when these type of things first come out. But, yeah, I mean, it sounds interesting. And, I mean, I've never been a player versus player type person. But if it's a against the environment type thing, it sounds like it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and one of the things that they highlight with this is that you're actually going to be able to build up your own environment around you. So you'll be able to build a house and build forts and whatnot.
Oh.
It's in that sort of vein.
That's what I like, that building type, developing your own sort of land type thing.
I feel like this. I don't know, man. Maybe against my better judgment, I'm super excited. um, and I can sum it up why in one word: freedom. You're giving me RuneScape, and I'm not tied to a mouse and point and grid and walk like a. I just. You're
you
giving
gotta
me
watch
Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
You're giving me. You're
Gotta
giving me
walk
Conan
like a
Exiles. You're giving
man.
me Ark. You're giving me.
if you haven't, you gotta watch the official World teaser trailer. Just the environments that they've been able to build with this. I linked it in our chat. If either you
Sweet.
haven't done that yet, but
No, I watched it.
Okay.
And
And
it reminds me of New World. It's there's so many.
it's what we've always wanted for the game of RuneScape in some flavor.
Yes.
Like you and I have talked about this more often than the listeners know. We have talked about this countless times. Just the both of us, text chat, voice chat. What would the RuneScape world look like if it came to a modern, rendering engine that was fully, 3D to the likes of something that would, one up Elder Scrolls Online and World of Warcraft?
Yeah.
And this is it,
And
graphically.
and I'm. It's like I don't want to be the dog that catches the car, but it is everything. Hoped it looked like what I hoped it would be. I mean, can you imagine like skill? Talk about skills being important. Skills are you gonna depend on them?
You're gonna have skills in the game, which I mean
it's
and that's where you
As soon
get
as I heard that,
meaningful.
and that's where you get the idea of the tie-in between things like Valheim and 7 Days to Die, because Valheim, I think, out of the ones I've played, had, the most kind of RuneScape skill kind of level up experience with it. And I felt like as soon as I played Valheim, this could be RuneScape if you skinned it differently and made it look different. And maybe that's what this is going to be, and maybe that's, all you need, right?
Mm-hmm.
My one concern.
Well,
go ahead. Then I'll do my one concern.
I'm also excited to I can do so much better in that kind of combat than I can this. Like I can just survive a lot better.
But we don't know what the combat's going to be that much, do we?
That's what I want to know. But it's got to be. I don't care. Okay, when I say combat, I mean I know how the movement's going to be, right? Like, and that movement,
you can just run away if you start getting beat on by something.
Zig and zag. Yeah, I can run behind somebody. Yeah, you go, or whatever. But I am typically better. Like I'm just better with that kind of combat. Like I can.
Yeah, Pern, were you able to pull up the video and see the environments?
No, I'm just trying to. Whereabouts did you put it?
I put it in our producer's chat.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Sorry.
I think one of the things that I immediately see, I don't know what kind of staff the mage is wearing at the end, but the wizard's robes are definitely very much RuneScape related. You can see magic trees in there. I've seen a divination rift at a point, which is actually very interesting when you look at it, because that, of course, implies 6 age associated with it. Anima.
It talks about anima as being like a major. I think it's going to be like the major.
Yeah, because that, like the sense I get when I read into that is you're going to, in effect, channel that anima to help you build your settlement and all that, which is very key to these sorts of games.
Yeah.
My one concern. I feel like the survival game hype train peaked around maybe late 2019, mid 2020.
Ding, ding, ding. That's my one major concern, and you know why we have that concern? Because we've seen Jagex.
We've witnessed it with Chronicle.
Same. Yes. which was a good game. Had it been 2 or 3 years earlier, yeah.
Well, not only 2 or 3 years earlier, if it had have been on mobile, they made it a desktop game.
But they didn't have mobile down at the time, I don't think.
Yeah, but Chronicle was totally separate. They could have surely developed it for mobile. But Jesus,
sure
those graphics are
phenomenal.
Yeah. Right?
Could you imagine? Could you imagine RS looking like that?
It kind of looks like a postcard we imagined one time and saw, and you're like, oh,
wow.
could it be? What if it was ever like that? And then they said, hold our beer. We can.
That looks beautiful. Yeah,
and my number one hope from this is that it's very successful to the point that people crave and people demand their RuneScape to look like this.
Yeah, but
granted,
again,
you would need to make your own, like remake RuneScape to have it be this fidelity.
But that ship's sailed too.
I think it has, unfortunately.
Because that would have been the RuneScape 4. That. And for better or worse, I think the RuneScape player base right now, they know what they want, they know what they like. I think there will be a ton of crossover, but if there was ever a chance to grow a new RuneScape audience, it's gonna be with something
through
like
this.
Yeah. We don't know when, but early access is soon, this spring. For people who are interested in it. Yes, exactly. Add it to your Steam wish list. And you might think, why do I need to do that if I know I'm going to buy it off the bat? Well, the answer to that is that by adding something to your wish list, you're helping Steam by sending a signal that there's going to be a deluge of support and community behind this game when it actually launches, and it helps the game by bringing it forward and allowing for opportunities for promotion to have it appear on, say, the front page of Steam, that sort of thing. So if you have any interest in this game and you plan on trying it or playing it, definitely add it to your Steam wish list. And one of the things about this as well is that they've talked on what the deal is on this, and it's a one-time purchase. It's not a subscription, like all things past RuneScape.
Oh, wow. So then we'll be getting sort of...
Their hope is that there will be
bi-monthly updates
that there will be
things.
Bi-monthly updates like that and DLCs along the way.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I bet you it has a little something called an expansion DLC pack every once in a while.
Which is fine. Yeah, if they bring that every 6 months as a DLC, happy to buy it if I'm enjoying the game. As we always say, these aren't cheap to make, and people need to be paid. So happy to throw the money at them if it's something I enjoy.
If this actually comes out, this is going to really show whether what I've always wanted will work, or if it won't. Like, there's either going to be... I think it will, but we'll see, right? Like, instead of having a pipe dream, we'll know.
Yeah. We also get to see Mont Doom again, because he is the senior community manager on this project.
Oh, nice.
That's where he's
also, I see there's a live stream on April 15th.
Yes, that is the other thing I was going to mention, is that on April 15th will be the live stream where they effectively first show off the gameplay for it.
Definitely tune into that one.
I wanted to mention, too, for as good as it looked, it's got pretty moderate system requirements so far. I don't know if those are just placeholders, but not terrible.
Well,
I don't know. What do you think, Shane?
I would
like
say
an i3 and
well, that's minimum.
Yeah.
The recommended is what I use for gaming right now. From 2020,
which is what you would expect.
Yeah,
gamers will have proper gaming systems.
So, and you upgrade beyond that, you're going to be fine. for it, and the Unreal Engine really, really does scale well on a variety of hardware out there. So it's not going to be the next Microsoft Flight Simulator or anything to that effect.
That's what I mean. Like it just looks like it's going to be pretty accessible for the average PC gamer.
Oh, I just was able to actually scroll down here, and they have video GIFs showing about cutting down trees with runic energy, as well as the game will, of course, include quests as well.
Oh, okay, you won me.
Bringing in, they say, iconic RuneScape lore into a never-before-seen continent.
And being Unreal 4, I'll be able to use a Xbox or PlayStation controller, won't I?
Yeah, it says partial controller support, so I don't know
only partial
what the deal is on that. But they're also going community-centric design on this one, just like they do with both versions of RS. It's going to be, they say, shaped by player feedback every step of the way from the alpha to 1.0 and beyond.
Okay.
Yeah. Alpha test started in late 2024 with early access, of course, being the spring here. So, I have to admit, when I first knew that they were going to be working on another game, and based on everything else that we've seen in the past from Jagex, I did question if we'd ever see it, and I am glad now that we're at the point. There's a Steam page. We're going to get our hands on it, and there would be very, very little reason, I think, to can such a project like this at this point. So, well done, team.
Yeah. Well, from what just from that video alone, I mean, it looks very interesting. When you just said quests as well, it's I've gone from 90% chance I'll play it to 100% chance now.
Yeah, and also they know the audience, because the first thing they highlight, aside from the slaying dragons, is grinding skills.
But that's the one thing that I've always said about these other games that I do enjoy playing. The Elder Scrolls, New Worlds, Conan, whatever.
They don't do skills like RS.
They don't, and they don't.
No one does skills like RS.
They don't get them quite right. No, they. And I've always thought, man, if you could just bring this stuff together, and who knows? I mean, it could end up being RuneScape.
This could be the RuneScape of
but
of the 20s.
And so we'll see. I mean, we'll see if this is. But I think if there is ever a thing that could take it to the next level, it will be this.
Right, and it's not so much the gameplay has to be compelling and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the number one thing I think that people have just been craving for so long is to get the RuneScape world into something that looks like this.
Yeah, no ticks.
And
no
and I mean, hey, what if you just wanted to run around the world and soak it in for the first hour and two hours that you play? I feel like that's something that you might want to do, given the fact you've been waiting, 25 years for the ability to do that, run around a open RuneScape game world?
Yeah, there can be a whole little trend of TikToks of reaction videos to
oh god,
a picture of this 12-year-old kid, and then a picture of when you're 40-something, you're playing this computer. Oh my god, you got tears in your eyes. You're like, that's so bad. Yeah.
Oh god, that's gonna be us.
The kids and their TikTok.
Yeah, it is.
Minus the TikTok.
I thought about that the other day. I'm like, man, I hope our retirement homes have good Wi-Fi, because if RuneScape's still going, we're all going to get back online and be playing. Everyone that went away will come back if it's still there.
Well, that's the question. How do you keep the franchise going for that? And you need new ideas every so often, and hopefully this will enable that to happen. But we're gonna pivot now. We're gonna move from the world that is and is real to what we got for April 1st, for April Fools again. Saddle up. I'm not gonna say the M word. Actually, I will say it. It's a Diango mount update. But you basically go to the Lumbridge Crater, you visit with Diango there, and then head over and talk with Fabio, and he's the riding tutor, and then you can go to any one of the various platforms that are out there, and you will embark on mount training, and you basically choose what animation to do, and after you hit your first 100% threshold there, you unlock a ring in addition to a title, and the ring, of course, is the Ring of Riding that allows you to do a myriad of mount emotes, I'll say. Some of them have been used for nefarious purposes.
Yes, they're teaching you how to ride properly.
Yeah, and we'll just say ride,
ride all kinds of stuff.
Ride the toy horsey that's there.
Bit of rough riding.
But yeah, I mean, the game's what did we say? The game's like 24, 25 now, and you guys were saying in pre-show it's time for the game to kind of grow up like that.
Well, that's it. Well, we know what 24 and 25-year-olds are interested in.
Mounts
that allow you to do certain things that are that were typically frowned upon in game, right?
Well, we're always told it was not that kind of game, but I mean,
that's it. Now you can mount as much as possible.
And you can also kind of see the direction they're going with how revealing Fabio's outfit is here. So somebody had fun designing that and putting that into game.
And naming him Fabio.
Why? What does that have to do with anything?
Fabio?
Yeah.
You don't know who
you
Fabio
don't know Fabio?
is?
No.
It's the long-haired dude floating in the wind on all the romance novels.
That's it. He's that long blonde hair and he's just like, he was the epitome of the romance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's why they went with that.
And he also did a stupid, I can't believe it's not butter.
That was Fabio, yeah.
That was, yeah.
I think.
I just checked the examine info. There's no information in there that signifies that. The examine info is his writing skills are unmatched.
Well, in all those romance novels,
I was going to say, he was number one.
I don't know how long this is in game for. Typically, I think it's in game for about a week. But head on over to the Lumbridge Crater.
They said till the 7th,
and you can claim that if you so desire.
Yeah, they said till the 7th, so you've got until probably game update on Monday.
All right. Fair enough. That's what we got for April coming early. Next week, of course, we have Quest Week with Pharaoh's Folly. So, of course, look for Avernick and Zerdones to be joining us on that episode. But we also do have a few patch notes this week. Interesting ones. First, the Gnome Ball and Skull Ball can no longer be placed within the wilderness, no matter the player's PvP status. So, obviously, there's some kind of backhanded lure happening there.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, a rift to the Astral Altar has been added to the Abyss so that this can be used after completing Lunar Diplomacy.
I'm calling update of the year.
Can you explain to the listeners why that's so important? Like I
Well, basically,
I know
with-
the reason and what you get from it, but
Yeah, the astral runes. I mean, obviously, they are used in a lot of things, and for all other rune running, you can go into the rift and just teleport. Bang, it's nice and easy. The only one you couldn't was the astral rune, where you had to teleport to the Moon Clan up on Lunar Island. Run all the way down to the altar, do your things, and either teleport back or run back. It was just so long for so little XP. The only reason you did it was for Astral Runes. And Astral Runes, I don't think are dropped much from anything other than Star Sprites when you go and hunt down your meteorites. So just having that ability to make Astral Runes much easier, it's a big plus. So as the guy who is making the runes that we need for the clan, for our group Iron Man, this is just going to make providing those much easier for you guys.
yeah, and it also comes down to the fact that that's another altar you can choose from to get the thread, because we all know how important that thread has become post 110 rune crafting.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, one thing in the patch notes you didn't do is resolve the issue allowing players to use Luke's leg as an AFK skilling method that never depletes. What the hell is Luke's leg?
There is a part of.
I remember Clarence, but
no, this is from one of the pirate quests. It's an item that was used to sabotage the hopper on Brain Death Island, I believe, and I don't necessarily know how it was able to be used as an AFK skilling method. It's for the Hatchet of Bloom and Blight.
Oh, okay.
Because after Pieces of Hate, it can be chopped in order to obtain the 50% of 100% Luke's leg to create the hatchet. So it was just something you could basically chop there and get free AFK woodcutting XP on.
Wow. Hey, Luke, stand still. We're just going to sit there cutting your leg for 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it was a
Good
scenery item in the area too. So not something that would have been immediately apparent.
Fair enough.
So that's what that one's about. But all right, let's move on to some other little bits and bobs from this week's update. Wandering NPCs, green skirts, and item removals. Yeah, that's certainly an interesting one. So, as it turned out, some of the NPCs went wandering after this week's update, and
They were released.
yeah. So the idea of what was happening with this is that there was a thing that they did internally to effectively change out NPCs' skins based on their seasonal appearances. So what that did is that allowed some of the NPCs to just, start popping up in unintended places. And for the ones that weren't necessarily designed for that, it could have led to a crash to desktop in some cases.
Fair enough.
So there's that. And for people who are wondering why they had green skirts all of a sudden, some of the items gained from feeding dinosaurs at the Granny Potterington's accidental firemaking and fletching update were turned into green skirts. And the thing behind this one is a very interesting story, I think. What they did is they added new optimizations to their login flow to improve performance and protect stability, which, on the surface, that's fine. But what happened with this is that they wound up adding more and more login checks on to the login. So as a result of that, it contributed to long load times and even sometimes crashes. So the fix for this was rewriting how discontinued items work, moving from specific bespoke checks for each item dotted all over the place in the login flow to a standardized deletion checkpoint in the process. So the old system is why that you would have sometimes things that didn't necessarily get deleted when an event or promotion ended because they had to specifically add the check for it. Now, as part of the deletion process, that item would be turned into a default object like a green skirt. And then that's where items got a delete me flag, which inadvertently spilled into the output of the dinosaurs due to a misflagged login check that was left over from the update to the Dynaro processing at the end of 2023. Now with that, they had been given a one-time login flag during that time to smooth out the transition, so that when Monday's update was applied and found that flag again, it would turn those items, those dinosaurs, into the skirts as they were fed. Then, the removal of the items was an intended part of the change in order to keep up the stability of the login flow and to make sure that the login experience was crash-free. So that's where that comes from. A roundabout way of protecting against discontinued items.
What would have been funny is they transferred into like party hats and people are getting all excited thinking they got a party hat and then it gets fixed afterwards. See, you're going to do something like that. Do it properly.
Well, that's why they chose a dummy cheap item like a green skirt.
That's what I mean. But I mean, the blue party hat at the time was just a dummy cheap throwaway item on release. They should have done that. They should have used that.
Then we would have all got blue party hats.
Imagine all these people going, right? "Oh, I got a party hat from this," and then and look at
who would have cried the most about that? Anybody that already owned
the
a blue party hat.
Or less than 2%ers.
Yeah, like the 0.02%.
Yeah. So the items removed were old quest items, promotional remnants, or just broken data. And they weren't useful to the players, but they were still processed every time somebody logged in, which is interesting when you think about it, that you could have an item that you hadn't used or interacted with for years, but they were still checking for on login. And this was a complete rewrite in terms of how these discontinued items were handled. And before this, there were hundreds of individual scripts checking for specific items. Hundreds. Hundreds of scripts.
And it all leads to the spaghetti, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly that.
I'm just loving some of these photos or pictures that they've got here of the demons just wandering around Lumbridge and it's just showing up at War's Retreat. And
yeah.
There's some good photos.
There's another one of them at the Clan Citadel there.
The Clan Citadel, and what's her name just standing on the water? Ariana.
Yeah. There's a question here in the Q&A, can you get your removed items back? And the answer to that is no, because to ensure the problem was rectified at the core, the new system was designed to change all discontinued items at once, not on a case-by-case basis, and they can't reverse that without reintroducing risk to login stability. So people did lose some dinosaurs this week, actually. Which, I mean, when it comes to the accidental scaling update, that's not too big.
Nah, that's true. Yeah.
And then the green skirt was just an artifact of how the old system worked. So, and I mean, hey, it's like the 25-plus-year-old game we talk about. That's why you wind up with these sorts of situations.
So this is why there was. Sorry, on I think it was Wednesday when I was at. Just at the fort, there were people complaining that they'd lost, their 2 mil stack of burnt lobsters or something, and I'm sitting there going, "Why would you have a 2 mil stack of burnt lobsters?"
People collect all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, but yeah, he's having a
I think
real,
there's somebody in
real...
Clan Quest who has a collection of candles.
Okay. I know someone was collecting cabbages.
Yeah, that too. But they did cold fix this on morning game time of April 2nd. So that would have been Wednesday game time, so Thursday-ish for you, Pern.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it's a nice peek behind the curtains, right? That we don't normally get to see. So it is appreciated. Let's thank some Patreon supporters, because this week is the first episode of the month, so we get to do this on the roll this week, unlike where we were a month ago on the RuneFest run. So this week I'd like to thank Alaska, Alvaro L, Amos Reed, Arvidzel, Bladecom, Brandon F, Brayton K, Chilbura, Dominic R, Duramax, Golden XP, Greg T, Guy Lafleur, Harry, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Meriwether, Mongrath, Mr. T, Ricky A, Robbie D, Runestar, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Scio Aces, The Naked Captain, The Dab and Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Big, huge thank you, everybody out there. It means the world to us. And by the time you're listening here, you should be hearing our most recent monthly bit episode, Archaeology, 5 years later, which is a big one. Which is a big one when you think about it, where Archaeology started off. So we sat down and we had a discussion about the good and the bad about Archaeology. We did lean a little bit into that. So that'll be up on the Patreon feed. You can gain access to that for as little as $1 a month. All you do is you head on over to patreon.com/RSBANDB, and you can sign up there. You can listen to the Archaeology episode or any of the other episodes that we've talked about in the past. We have an entire back catalog now of like 80 plus of these episodes. It really is an entire extra compendium of podcast episodes. So I think we really underestimate the value of that, because I've had people who have signed up and they're like, wow, that's something that I didn't know that I was getting, but it's all there. Patreon.com/RSBNB. You also gain access to the votes, because the monthly bits are decided by vote by our Patreon community. We also do have a VIP tier for $3 a month, where you get a VIP rank on Discord, chat channel access, and a mention on the podcast at the start of the month, plus high-quality stereo versions of the show, in addition to everything else. And, of course, we also do have the Insider tier, where for $5 a month, you'll receive a shout-out on the podcast each and every week and gain exclusive access to the outtakes that we use to make the clip show at the end of the year. And we wouldn't be able to do this show without you guys. So big, huge thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It really, really does mean the world to us. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So we're going to go back in time a bit. We're going to go back, actually, to RuneFest and look at the RuneScape Ahead Q&A that they did there for that episode, because we haven't done that yet, and there's a few interesting things in that I think it would be good to look into. So let's just begin here. They started by asking what updates the mods are most looking forward to. The panel was Mod Jack, Mod Breezy, Mod Ryan, and Mod Timbo. Jack said Haven High. Breezy said 110 rune crafting. Mod Ryan said the Amasket boss, and Timbo, of course, said leagues. So, what do you guys think of what the mods had to say? And I guess we could say at this point, what are you guys looking forward to out of everything that was announced? Because I don't think we really had a chance to talk about that.
Well, for me, I mean, obviously Haven Heights being a whole new area to explore is probably the thing I'm looking forward to most. A massacre boss, yeah, it's another boss. I mean, that'll be fun. 110 rune crafting obviously has already come out. It's interesting, but not sort of game breaking or huge wow. I mean, it's a decent wow moment with some of the weapons and such. I know everyone's excited on leagues. I don't know how I mean, I'll see when it comes out, but it's not something I'm excited about.
All right, fair enough. How about you, Tennis?
I mean, I gotta go with Timbo, man. Like, no, I'm once again, like, what's going on? Am I getting everything I've ever wanted when it comes to RuneScape? When's the rug gun get pulled out here? I'll get leaked. I mean, I'm getting Unreal 5 RuneScape and I'm getting leaks this year. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we never really looked into talked about that too much about where you were going to be for leagues for that.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's the coolest thing since Group Iron Man is what I'm looking at.
And you know what the best thing about that is that the way they're doing it is they're going for the same Parity Plus thing that they did with Group Iron Man, but what that means is that you're not going to have to purchase an extra membership to play leagues.
Nice.
That is the one thing that is good about it. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That was the one drawback, and I think pretty legitimate criticism of Fresh Start. So that's cool. Am I getting punked? Is that an old reference now? What's going on here? Like, this is all really good news.
Yeah, and
the disclaimer. I mean, don't forget when I say I'm not excited about leagues, I was not excited about Group Iron Man either. When
I don't know how I sold you on that. Then.
And now, yeah, you got me. You said, "Oh, we're making one. We're gonna." Okay, yeah, no worries. It sounds all right. I'll give it a try. I'll hang around for 3 months and then say, "Hey guys, thanks for the challenge." And best thing, sort of in years for me.
Nice. There was also big news on this one. Inverted skill capes. The question was asked, is there any chance you can get inverted skill capes? Timbo said this is where it may actually get fired. And he said that inverted skill capes will not come with leagues, but the goal is to bring the inverted skill capes to the game this year. They're still having very early discussions about it. Nothing solid on the method. The player voice will be important on this, and the goal is not to devalue the ones that already exist.
And also remember, the goal is to do it. It's not necessarily saying 100% that will happen.
Yeah. I know.
Well, I think as long as...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think if you bring them back, as long as there is some kind of differentiating mark or way, then...
Like a novel way of getting them, right? Like they said, it won't be 120s, it won't be 110s, and it won't be a 200 mil in a skill.
Right. But just, even if it was some kind of, just something that looked different, slightly different.
So the original ones is what he's saying. They have to look different. So you can differentiate between the people who did it on Fresh Start and people who get it this way, but I don't think that's not the intended way.
I don't think that would be in the cards.
No, they're doing it as exactly the same cape, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do it, and just chuck it on Diangos for $50 or.
Well, that's what I'm. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm most concerned about. But at the same time, I've never been one that is all like, "Oh, you got my stuff," because like I know how I got my stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so.
But I also need to underscore that I want the inverted archaeology cape for 120. I just ran out of time to do that because our Fresh Start modifiers went down too slowly or went down too quickly. Had the modifiers, gone down at the same rate they went up, I probably would have been able to get that 120 archaeology cape had the higher XP remained.
I would have stayed on. Oh yeah. I'm sure you could have. Like,
and that's the thing, right? Is that this is unfinished business for me. So I was in fresh start.
God damn it!
I was there for fresh start. I don't care how they come into the game. Well, I mean, obviously, like you said, Tannis, it'd be bad if you had to pay like $50 a cape, which would be dumb. But as long as they come into the game, I don't care who else gets them. It's something that for me was unfinished business. If I was to kind of just draw something up really quickly for what I'd like to see on this, basically take some sort of randomized mechanic system like you get for, the skill pets, right?
I was going to say skill pet drop type thing, yeah.
Make it, say, 10, 20 times more common than the skill pet, with a grace that you get the cape by the time you hit 104 million XP. By the time you hit 120.
Yeah, I was going to say,
if you
can't get it after you've maxed the skill at level 99. So between 99 and 104 or 120, you get a chance there.
And maybe you don't put the grace in, and you just make it so that it drops as a token. That's a bit more common than skill pet. Maybe that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
that might be some. Would you guys be okay with that, like randomizing it?
Yeah.
And then,
the skill pet hunt was one of the fun things for me, because once you max, 120 skills are there for the cape and such, but it was more that skill pet hunt of just, am I going to get it, and that sort of, just that chase, and then got the pet, it's I like that type of thing, but I know a lot of people don't.
I'd be all for it for the first 100 mil.
After the first 100 mil.
Right. And that's why I'm kind of wondering is that maybe you just go with a skill pet kind of mechanic where, you have a higher chance of getting it than the skill pet. And as you threshold 99, 120, and 200 mil, it just becomes more common.
I would say guaranteed by 200. I wouldn't say guaranteed by 120.
Okay.
But just I don't mind that mechanic.
Is cool. I'm fine with that. Shane definitely. He just sold me because I'm like, wait a minute. I've got like nearly half of the inverted capes.
It's unfinished business for us who did fresh start.
Yeah, like now I'm like, damn.
And some of them look really amazing, too, like the archaeology one, the Slayer one. And also keep in mind, people haven't had a chance to get the inverted necromancy cape yet, either.
Yeah.
So,
true.
I got another one for you, Tannis. It's almost like we sent our minions there to ask questions. I wasn't there at this talk because I was doing other things. But someone asked, is there any conversation around prestiging when you've already hit 200 mil?
Okay.
Or maybe this is more of a Pern question. This was addressed by Mod Jack, and he said that the problem with Prestige is that it's really only for people who are XP maxed, and only about half the people who are XP maxed actually want it. And he had conversations with people on the floor about that.
That's okay, but if I can just do something here, hard mode bossing. Who wants that? Elite PVMers. What amount of community they are? 5%. It's
good point.
You're sitting there telling me that I'm not as important as your 5% bosses are. It's not universally loved. You're telling me that just because I'm 200 mil, I love the game so much that I'm 200 mil and I want to be able to go beyond that. Well, screw you. You know, it's not universally loved. The PVMers don't like it, so we're not going to worry about it. That's basically you're telling me I'm second class citizen compared to you to these other people.
What Jack wants to do instead
and,
is he wants to go 110, 120, 130.
Now, if they bring that in, if they go beyond 200 mil and just remove that XP cap, keep your 200 mil as your high scores thing, and then let me go to 5.4 bill on a skill. Great, I would love that. I don't need a high score.
And he said the tech people might just say no on this because of how everything's built in, but.
You know, I actually did feel insulted by the way they said this. Oh, well, it's not universally loved. You know, and I said, well, yeah, it's the same thing with hard mode bossing. I mean, I hate the fact that hard mode bossing has exclusive rewards that I can't get on the normal boss. Hard mode should be, you know, the Iron Man version of bossing. I just want something that's more of a challenge. I might have a better drop rate, but I'm not going to get anything exclusive that's only available on hard mode. I think that is one of the worst things that they ever did in the game is making things exclusive on hard mode, because hard mode is a challenge mode. The boss is the boss. You know, you should only.
Well, like, to be fair, I see that perspective, but myself, I have moved on beyond Prestige because the way I see it is that, one, this was also addressed, that it adds a lot of complications in that, you know, if you set a skill to 1, what does that mean for, you know, quest requirements and quests you've done? And if a new piece of content comes out that requires level 60, what do you do with that? That's one side of it.
Well, great. I've got to move. I've got to get those skills up again. I mean,
but the other one is it a healthy thing for the game and a healthy thing for the skills to, in effect, rather than adding in new content at the top or adding in new horizontal pieces of progression-based content and skill, is it healthy for the game to have that? And what I mean by horizontal progression-based content is that if you look at something like the Manor Farm and the Dinosaur Farm, those can be seen as horizontal pieces of content because they have the dinosaur collection log with them. They have a new set of rewards around them. They have a new set of unlocks from the bean shop and what have you. So you could add things like that increase playability to the skill, even if you have 99 or level 33 farming or 200 mil. So that's kind of why I've moved beyond Prestige myself in terms of thinking it's a good idea.
How is it healthy for the game that for someone like me who, you know, is older, reflexes aren't quite so good, you know, has to watch the keyboard when I hear it? Why is it healthy for the game that the T100 tokens that upgrade your weapons are only dropped from the hard mode version of the boss and not the regular boss, which is what most people would play anyway?
I think those are two separate things, because you can. There's two ways you could look at this. One, instead, you could put that hard mode token even on normal mode and just give it, 1/10 or 1% of the rate that it is on.
Which is exactly what I think it should be. Exactly. Hard mode should not have anything exclusive. It should have better drop rates, but no exclusive drops.
Or you can just go and you can make money or buy bonds and then go to the Grand Exchange and buy it. That's your other option.
Well,
even if you wanted the 100 for some reason.
That's okay. You want 200 mil, or you want to go beyond 200 mil, or you want a prestige, you can buy bonds and buy some keys and do your lamps.
Well, I want to...
But is that healthy?
Same thing.
Is that healthy for the game?
Is it healthy?
The amount of XP we have?
Is it healthy for the game that I have to go and buy bonds if I want a T100 equipment?
I think that's a matter of perspective and what the bean counters think at the end of the day.
Yeah, but when we're talking about healthy, that is the same argument as hard mode bossing, right? Like, is it healthy to sit there and hurt your wrist?
I don't hurt my wrist when I PVM on RS3.
Well, good for you, but have you made it through the? Like, I don't know. I just think that you could. But when it comes to the horizontal progression or development. My question to that is why would it prevent it? I don't necessarily care about a prestige or this or that. I understand. I just want to move the decimal point, whatever.
Yep.
So it's more about making the number go up for you rather than having a new prestige.
Which I would
kind
prefer.
of adornment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then why not just push to 130 instead?
Cap. Yeah,
because
that is brilliant.
The way it goes right now, I believe something like 120 level 126 or 127 would be the cap of where we are right now at about 210
126
million.
is 130 mil. Is 200 mil.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they would need to expand the XP caps beyond that.
Exactly.
And you got to do that one time.
In 5 years' time, you're working on lifting that XP cap from 200 mil to 5.4 bill a skill. Great, I'll be happy with that. If you're working on it, hey, you don't have to rush it. We want to make sure it's right. But if I know you're working on something that I want in the game, that a lot of people do want in the game, and you can leave your high scores at 200 mil. Fine, I don't care about.
And I think that's another very, very interesting thing, because you know how big the race is that we've seen, especially with archaeology and necromancy, that race for 200 mil. Because it sets up where people land in the grand scheme of the high scores.
And any XP, I mean, let's be honest, any XP over 99 in most skills, or 120 or 110 in some skills, is purely cosmetic. It's not going to give you any real advantage. So the 200 mil XP cap, taking that, even if you take it up to 1 bill a skill or whatever, or as Tanner said, move that decimal point, 2 bill per skill. Give us, let me sit there and just eke out. I love archaeology. I love my Slayer. Let me just sit there and do it all and keep going ahead and move and move and move. But to say, oh well, it's only for people who are maxed and only half the people who want it. Well, hey, I do bossing. Well, I don't want hard mode bosses. And I can make that argument. And with that, it's less than half your player base.
And the thing is that this idea of 130 skills is something that Jack concocted, and the question was asked, with the mention of 130 skills, would that mean that 200 million is no longer the highest XP? And he said it would have to, and that's where the whole technical discussion came in, but he said this is far down the line, like 20 years from now.
Wow.
So in other words, you're just blowing smoke up my ass. No, honestly, I mean, they're just,
I would think
that type of thing just really shows me they don't really care much about the skilling community. It's all about keeping the bossing community appeased.
Well,
normally I would agree, but I think Mod Jack has built his own credit in this regard, because we've seen so many things that they didn't necessarily make it through, but his ideas and the core of it did make it through, aka complicated.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. That was not a shot at Mod Jack. That was because we said 20 years. That's a shot at Jagex themselves, where their general view is as a company, not as Jack individually. Because I know Jack. I mean, he throws out these ideas. I know he'd love to bring them in.
Well, and I think he kind of does too. Even when it's poo-pooed, he finds ways to bring it. So maybe it doesn't come in 130, but I think if we see a decimal point move, you've won me over.
Because what you would let's just think this through here for a minute. There's skills that have that offer XP in the form of decimal points, right? And you can tell this when the XP drop changes. It doesn't actually show the decimal point because it represents it as a whole number. So technically what you do is you go through every skill drop in the game, anything that gives a skill drop, and if it has a decimal behind it, you get rid of the decimal. It either gets rounded to 0 or 1. if it's something that is, like a third of an XP, or you round it to the next one or round it down, what have you. And then in theory, if you did that, if you got rid of all the decimal point droppings inside, whenever something has like a 0.3 XP or 0.5 XP on it, and you get rid of all the decimals there and you round it up, round it down, if you did that, you could potentially drop that decimal point on the XP counter at the end to give you that extra placement that would allow you to go beyond 200 mil to 2 bill, potentially.
You mean all we have to give up is the shit you don't know you're getting anyway?
Well, and I mean, like that's how I do it technically. Rather than completely re-engineering the way XP is stored in the game, because based on the fact it's
too easy, but yeah.
Well, this would be.
It.
I think this would probably be easier than the other method of completely changing the way XP is stored in the game. So,
and as I said, it's really only for our personal, or for me, it's only my personal sort of view goals that are going bang. This is what I've got. I mean, the high scores I don't care about. You can have your hard high score ladder of 200 mil. You can have a separate one if you want to. If people really want that goes above that. But that 200 mil should sort of stay that race cap for people when they're racing.
But you're right, Pern, though, in the fact that just because something's hard and just because it applies to a small slice of the RuneScape community does not mean that it's not worthwhile. That's kind of a hallmark of RuneScape. We've always had the trim and just crazy, weird, hard things is part of RuneScape, even if it only touches a small group.
And my question, I guess this is mainly to you, Pern, but also to you, Tanis. I used to be on the Prestige bandwagon, like I said. Is it all just about making the numbers go up beyond 200 mil?
Yeah. I mean, Prestige to me was always, okay, I'll accept this because I can't get what I really want, is XP beyond 200 mil.
Yes.
So,
I mean, when I hit 200 mil, I reset my counter on my personal thing, so it's counting. It's not showing me anything, but I can sit there and show that I've actually done. At the moment, I'm up to 420 mil XP on my Pern account on archaeology. I've hit 200 mil twice in it, and now going on to the third one. But if I had it where it showed me I'm at 430 mil, I would be stoked because that's exactly what I want to know.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. What I've done, what I'm working
towards,
how long it's taken me to get.
What I wonder from that is I know Rune Metrics can track XP beyond 200 mil because it does that for my farming when I have Rune Metrics Pro. Is that you get Rune Metrics tracking and it will track beyond 200 mil. So what I'm wondering is if a similar tech could be employed, and what if there's just like on the farming skill cape or on the farming pet, what if there was just some sort of cosmetic that changed every 100 million XP that you got? Would that be acceptable? Like maybe that's the best way of doing that.
I like to see the actual XP I've got.
Like the actual number.
I like hovering over and seeing the number. That's just me because I want to say, like as I said, there's certain things I'm chasing in game, and being 200 mil or not having, I want to see how long has it taken me to get, and having to reset the counters. Okay.
For that though, couldn't you? Like that when you're hovering over, like it's showing you the rune.
Well, that's the thing, and what I'm wondering is if you had Rune Metrics Pro, would there be a way to kind of, hook that in and provide that in game? Because I know it's a possibility, like to show a Rune Metrics counter on top of your XP. But
we had always promoted the workaround because we thought that was the most reasonable thing that we could probably get to happen.
Yeah.
But no, we want numbers go up.
Was like, okay, we'll take this because Prestige would never ever have been my first option.
Yeah.
extending the XP counter was always my
Right.
my
So what's
number
wrong
one.
with 130 then? I guess
I'd
just the
love
time it takes
130.
to get
Yeah.
there, right?
But because, as Mod
I'm
Ryan
fine.
said, Mod Jack said, with the mention of 130 skills, would that mean that 200 mil is no longer the highest ZP? Mod Jack, it would have to, but this is looking far down the line, 20 years, and Mod Ryan's answer as our technical team is probably like, can't you stop at 126? Why? Because
Because of the number,
it's
because of the number storage.
but let's fix your number storage then.
But do what Shane said. I mean, shit, that sounds
Yep.
really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the technical side of things, so
Well,
maybe
either,
what I'm
but
saying
It's not.
is
It's
really
not, but I
hard
think
and
it's probably
impossible.
simpler than re-engineering XP storage. Anyways,
Hmm.
is there any more information on the new skill? They said it's probably not sailing, also probably not a combat skill. The
Yay.
process will be about finding out what the game needs, what niches could be filled, and so on and so forth. The necromancy conversation started when Timbo said, "What about a fourth combat style?" That's how we got necromancy.
Thanks, Timbo.
So who asked the question this time about what if we
Built ships and sailed.
could- Yeah, I mean, I wonder what it.
So what's the skill?
Just something fun. I mean, the thing is, if it is with a gathering skill has to sort of work in pretty much with an artisan skill. So is it something that works in with something that's already here, or
Right.
do we actually have to do two skills? As we,
I think it could it be kind of bringing back that enchanting idea where it's gonna and it touches a lot of different skills. It touches smithing, it touches archaeology, it touches
like invention.
crafting. Yeah.
So basically,
Not an elite
so
skill,
basically just
but
a
just-
modified version of invention. Then is what you're
More
thinking.
like-
Without the weird XP curve.
But more like archaeology and where it's contained, but its benefits can kind of touch all these skills.
I think that's what they
and you're-
wanted with invention. They just made it too complicated.
Oh, well. Yeah. Shit.
What you're also describing, Tanis, is warding of what Old School would have had from RuneFest 2018 that didn't get off the ground.
I knew there was something similar, and I was just wondering, like, if this is how you could do it, and
What
I'm
if-
thinking, I mean, yeah.
What if treasure hunting became a skill? What if we took clue scrolls and magnified them to a different scale, to the point where you had a quasi-gathering skill that was effectively treasure hunting, and it was
would probably
was a
upset
way.
that treasure hunter community.
Well, you could still
the
have your clue scrolls
community.
for the cosmetics and whatnot, but imagine a treasure hunting skill that brings new wealth to existing skills. And the idea behind that would be that it would be a source of resources for our existing skills in the game that are either not common enough right now and could be made more common, or items that are maybe a little bit too gated behind PVM. What if there was just an interactive way to make treasure hunting kind of a skill?
Be interesting. I'd like to see how it was designed and what it was about, but certainly interesting.
That's one that I'd always like to see. And another one that I think I've talked about before would basically the RuneScape equivalent of barding, which would be the combat support skill. They said no, probably not a combat skill, but I think a combat support skill would still be very interesting. Either of you have ideas for what skills could be, or what you would like to see?
No, it's just so hard because we do have so many, but yeah, some sort of technology type skill.
Again, that's an invention.
Exactly, yeah.
With
sort
all
of a
these
sort of-
things pointing
Hold
back
on,
to invention, maybe it's
maybe-
just time for an invention rework that makes it not an elite skill and gets rid of the horrid XP curve and just adds a boatload of stuff to it.
I mean, that would be cool, but what if? And I know it couldn't be sailing, so let's call it navigating or
Oh, come on, call it sailing.
Yeah.
The
But
sailing
think of,
alpha
like-
that we just played on old school wasn't that bad, and I would be interested to see what the RS3 team would do to their perspective of it. I can't
Well, I
believe I'm
hadn't seen-
saying that, but
Well, I hadn't seen nor heard anything when it comes to the OS.
well, what you can
sailing.
do is you can head on over to update.show/OS and listen to the episode that Sirion and Thaxi recorded with me on that.
Okay.
It was OSRS
Nice
update
segue.
episode 69.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll remember that one. Now, this is how I would envision it, like, if I was doing it. What if
I
it
want to
was
hear
like-
this. I want to hear your envision of sailing, and I'll tell you how close it is to the old school one.
Okay. So you know how we have our islands in the Ark that your Uncharted Isles, that stuff?
Sure.
Mhm.
I would have a skill centered around that. Finding islands, exploring.
Well, you
Um,
can do that in old school sailing.
Oh.
I found a dungeon in the alpha that contained hellhounds, red dragons, and black dragons. A Slayer dungeon, effectively.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds interesting.
There's also courier tasks like delivering things to different ports. There's charting where you might go and explore certain areas, use a spyglass, or following
Okay.
navigating a current, or I forget the other aspects of charting, but deep sea diving. You don't actually have to do the deep sea dive, but
I was
Um,
picturing that. Like, oh man.
Yeah, there's
there's
a range of different ways to train. I like that.
Yeah, there's also something called Barracuda trials, which are basically like mini game based time trials for the skill.
See, explorer or exploration's a better. Man,
And you know what's so funny about that, now that you mention that, is that of everything that we talked about on the OSRS sailing episode, exploring was the thing that was most interesting to me. And before playing sailing, I said, with the content that you're providing and the skill training methods are here, why does this need to be on the water? Just make me an exploration skill on land, and I'll absolutely love it. And
Yes.
I thought that would be something that that I might still feel after the alpha, but no, I actually enjoyed my experience with sailing.
Really just
there.
running.
And that's
rather than
actually
using
what
your,
kind of led to my treasure hunting idea. Was a surface based exploration skill based on finding riches and
So
resources.
rather than using your lodestones now, you run between Falador between Lumbridge and Varrock, because there's a chance of finding something or
Oh,
discovering
I forgot to mention
something
shipwreck
there
salvaging as a thing. This is the lean back Tanis method of skill training. You basically pull your boat up to a shipwreck and then go to your hook, and then you just cast your hook out and you get salvage. And then it's earning that salvage that gives you sailing XP.
I want to
Can
do
you sit there and
sailing.
Can you sit there and blow up someone else's ship and then salvage?
Sailing PvE combat is something they want to get in for release, yes.
Oh wow!
I want to do sailing.
You imagine a pirate just go around, you blow up other ships and then loot them.
Does it have other skill requirements or quest requirements or?
No, but the alpha is closed. You missed it by a week.
Yeah,
it
but
was
when
it was while you
when it
were on
comes
your
out.
spring break.
Okay. Well, okay. I'm hoping I can still hope for the alpha of Dragonwilds, but
So basically what I'm hearing then is that the skill for RS3 should also be sailing.
Or exploration.
or
as you said, across the
exploration.
land. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, and charting isles, whatever you want to. But yeah, no, all of those components you said, yes, give me.
I can't believe this turned into a discussion about sailing here, because for the longest time I thought sailing was a godforsaken meme, and I wasn't necessarily sure if it was something that I wanted in the game. But I tried it at RuneFest, and it was actually good. And I tried it again in the alpha here, and similar. It was good.
Because what you described isn't sailing.
No.
What we just described isn't.
Well,
what
and
we
to
described
be
is
fair,
cool.
you do get XP for moving your boat around the waters, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
the alpha went to level 30. I played all the way 1 to 30.
Yeah, there's too many other things going on for that to be. That has to be token XP, right?
No, it is a viable training method, because you can also, like activate a wind catcher and effectively sail the ship in terms of the way that's going to be best set for the wind. So it can be an active training method.
I'm hearing a lot of choice in training.
Well, yeah,
Which is what we love.
Yes. I'm like, what's the catch? What's the catch?
And the question is, would you add this to RS3? Based on what I described? Imagine with the better graphics and just the idea of enabling such a thing like that.
Definitely.
Hell yeah. So,
okay, I didn't necessarily know it was going to go this way, but that's fine. It's fine. What about a War's Retreat refresh for new skills there? So the idea behind this is that they want to hear from players about what they could do with War's Retreat, because they have that whole other island there to work with, and they, of course, still like the idea of being able to show off achievements. I don't know how you guys feel about expanding out War's Retreat a little bit more.
I mean, at this stage, yeah, they've basically forgotten the max guild. So the only advantage of max guild is having a GE there. So
I was gonna say, what else can you put in it? Like when it comes to PVM, it's
that's a thing. I don't know.
God, what else can you do?
The only thing would be like having a big vat. You just load all your.
Do you know what the funny thing is? This was actually suggested by people at the talk. Just have like a big vat for overload sipping and all that.
Yeah. That's where I actually got it from. I think is just hearing those. I thought that's not a bad idea. Just put all your overloads in there and just bang, and you can drink it like three times, and rather than the overload just lasting 6 minutes, lasts 30 minutes or whatever.
Dude, that's like bathtub hooch at a frat party. I mean, come on now. What the hell?
What about the possibility of Winter Toad or similar skilling bosses for RS3? The answer to this is that RS3 is dabbling with skilling bosses. The team that worked on the Gate of Elidness did speak to the OS team about skilling bosses, and if another skilling boss was to be done, it would be different again.
Did the opposite.
Yeah, it would be different again. So basically what this question was asking is, could there be like a mass group kind of skilling boss? Because that's what Winter Toad is best known for, is the fact that you can have an entire world dedicating to killing this boss, and you can go in there, you could just chop some wood and then feed it to a fire and rinse and repeat and still get enough points to be successful there, which honestly I think, Tanis, sounds like your idea of a skilling boss now that I think of it.
More than what
more than Croesus or more than the Gate.
Yeah.
So interesting nonetheless. This talk took place on the Sunday, and I wasn't there in person for it, but I did watch it. after the fact. So I knew I would stimulate some discussion specifically on the inverted skill capes in Prestige. So that's the main reason we talked about this here, because I know both of you feel very passionate about that.
Yeah.
You know what I would call it? It just dawned on me. RS3 skilling bosses is basically skilling while a boss bosses.
Yeah, I mean,
You're trying to skill, and a boss is bossing and whooping your ass.
Yeah. I mean, Croesus, it's basically you're fighting minions in that you're running around mining those things. You're using a pickaxe to mine rather than a sword to kill a minion. Once you've got enough of it down, you hit the boss and, you've got to go back and do it again. I do not really class Croesus as much of a skilling boss as bossing with a pickaxe.
And that's why it'd be interesting to get the both of your perspectives on Old School, if you ever played that, about their main skilling bosses of things like Wintertodt and Zolcano. So.
Well, it's funny because once I had maxed the Pern account and sort of thought, I'll give Group Iron Man a try, I was actually going to be going over to try out Old School, but got so involved in the Group Iron Man that it just sort of, I'll do that again. When I get bored again, I'll look at that, but having too much fun on the Group Iron Man at the moment.
All right. What have we been doing in RS? Let's go with you first, Tanis, since you haven't been here for a few weeks.
Yeah, well, I've also kind of had a little RuneScape break because everyone.
You were not voted off the island.
I was not voted off. I was like, oh shit! I hope I don't.
Yeah, because Thaxi and I pulled you in last night after the bid, and like, hey, let's talk.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh no, I'm like, is this Goodfellas? Am I Tommy getting ready to walk in? Oh shit!
Have the unicorn head for you?
Yeah, right. So, but I just, had been sick, been on vacation, been playing a couple other games, just kind of giving myself a little bit of a RuneScape break, because I had been, playing Group Iron Man pretty steady since it came out. Been back this week, trying to finish off where I left. Just my last immediate goals were trying to pick up 90 fishing and then cooking.
How close are you now to cooking? Because we have to put our heads together on that one.
Oh, I'll have it. The only reason I'm not fishing right now is because I'm hanging out in Demonheim for later.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But no, I can have that in a matter of a weekend.
Okay.
It'll only be 3 levels. It's not I'm just getting the food, right? Like when it comes to cooking, you got to get the food, Iron Man style. So.
Yep, and we are very thankful for that, for everything you have provided.
Well, anytime, man, that was fantastic. Well, there'll be more, but so I've been doing that, and then just kind of looking ahead, looking further down the road. There's Priff to think about, because every skiller needs a home, and that home is Prifton. So,
yep, the goal that every GIM is going for.
Yeah.
So
that'll be the longer term goals. But the thing that I like about the Group Iron Man, along with just doing it with you guys, is going through the game this time, and especially as an Iron Man, you really think about, is that 0.003% boost really worth effort?
I had that conversation with Thaxi about the flash powder factory and whether or not it's worth it to subject ourselves to that.
Right. So it's kind of liberating in a way.
It's not.
No.
So
yeah. So that's been kind of fun too, just to be like, nah, I don't have to do that. I don't feel compelled. So Yeah, but that's kind of just getting back in, doing some fishing and.
So you'd say the road is on to Prif then?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think when you start this, your eye is all is on Prif, but I took I made I did make the conscious decision to I was trying to rush invention, but then
No,
Daxi got
crafting
there with no problem.
is a major bottleneck for that.
Well, it is, and I thought, well, let me get in where I fit in, and I'll get my port skills will be, cooking and fishing to make myself useful, and then once I get that stuff, I can circle back and try to get into Prif and get invention.
Yeah.
Get.
We're up to rank 472 from the 600s because of people who have quit.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
As I said, so I think we've done it the best way. We're not trying to rush
No,
it. Yeah, we're doing what we need to, but it wasn't like we're competitive but not competitive. And Tannis could take a couple of weeks break because he was sick, and then had holidays. Thaxi could go off on his wedding and that, and not everyone stressing, going, oh, but your XP wasting and all that.
Did not. To be clear, Thaxi did not get married. That was you made it sound like that.
I wondered about
friend's wedding.
Dude, he didn't even tell me. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Okay.
I sold him. I married him off. So
shit.
No, well, yeah, I remember at the start when he had to go to
friend's wedding,
and he was actually doing divination in the car. But that's we didn't have to worry about stuff like that because it was just like, hey, this is our time. Just have a bit of fun and do it that way. And I think hearing some stories from other people where they're getting frustrated with other people because they've busted their ass to get somewhere, and then one person in their group hasn't held up their end. I think our way it was great because it's made it a long game for us.
It's Iron Man with friends.
Exactly.
The way that we're doing it. We just happen to be going up because it's Iron Man with friends, but we're still playing.
Yeah. As for me, I got 80 necromancy last night.
Nice.
So I
Very
now
nice.
need to do the tier 70 tank task and then the tier 80 tank task because the tier 80 tank task is easier than the tier 80 power task. I really want the tier 80 necromancy weapons on there, and then I can start, pushing in that direction of getting the 80 necromancy power armor, which requires next kills, which requires the ancient ceremonial, robe tops, and the whole shebang. And my hope through this is that I'll be able to relieve you, Pern, at Kirill, because I know your drop rate there has been abysmal.
I've hit 2,000 kills. And let me just pull up. Where is it? I think it's under that one. No, it's under. Where is this? Under that one. Beasts. Okay. This is Krill. Grado. Krill Satsaroth. Okay. I have. I've hit 2,000 kills. My collection is 2 hoods of subjugation, 2 garbs of subjugation. Hey? Oh, yeah, my gown of subjugation I got the other day. 0 gloves, 1 boot. I've got 4 Zamorak hilts, 6 shard 1s, 2 shard 2s, a shard 3. Yesterday when I was there, I picked up the Zamorakian spear, finally. And 3
Make sure you save that.
steam.
That's important for us for Zamorak.
Oh no,
components.
Zamorak, yeah, that's being hung on to. So when we go to Corp, 3 steam battle staffs
Spikes.
and a ward of subjugation.
Yeah, so it's not like the best drop rate that you have.
It is a terrible drop
That's
rate.
abysmal. That's like what, like 10 and 2,000?
Yeah, so basically of the actual main equipment, 2 hoods, 2 garbs, 1 gown, and 1 boots, no gloves. So 2, 4, 5, 6 items that we break down in 2,000 kills.
Damn.
We need to try the golden horseshoe
That's not
there.
iron luck. Yeah, that's not iron luck.
No.
But
Although when we get down to it, I have. Oh, sorry. Have you finished with what you've been up to?
Mostly. I'll also just say that I did finish the excess requirements around doing Sears Village Medium and Wilderness Hard. Because the Wilderness Hard, of course, makes the herb patch disease-free, which is the main reason I wanted it, and the flax as well from Sears Village Medium is definitely something I wanted as well. And I have to friggin' spend, like 35 minutes at the Ranging Guild doing the target practice stupid
Get
thing.
the target, yeah. Yes, no, I remember that one.
Yeah,
So,
but that's pretty much it.
What do you need the flax for?
It's just good for us to have, right? Like to eventually make into bowstrings and whatnot. Just to have.
Yeah, well,
rather than
I mean,
picking.
with when people want bowstrings, I've been doing a lot down at accidental fletching, so I'll have the stackable bowstrings for everyone. So don't stress too much on those. Although they are good food for yaks.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I also just at that point, I want to get 88 in one of the Croesus skills because that will let me, mass farm the mushrooms and stuff for the mushroom people because I still have to spend probably about 2 to 3 hours a week AFK at the Ark Islands just gathering mushrooms to feed them. So. But,
again, now that I've hit 95 Slayer, I should be able to start helping you out a bit with that too, with Garasian mushrooms from
right.
Ganos. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. You can go ahead now.
Yeah, so basically I got my first Lava Strikeworm task, went down there, nice to do, but pain in the bum just running back every 15 or 20 kills to bank the ashes. It took more than double the normal time to kill them just because of banking. And they have an NPC out there that wanders around. So you click on him, chase him down. He says, you're in combat, hang on. So you got to click him again. And in that time, he's walked off and he drags you into either the Abyssal Demons or the Abyssal Beasts and you get attacked. I don't know why they bother having that banking guy because I reckon it was like 1 in 6 or 7 chances I was able to bank with him.
He was for the team capes back in the day when there was no.
Yeah, but they've made him a bank, and they made him a bank when they didn't have so many breaches out there, and it was more about the other things coming out and attacking you. I think they need to sort of lessen his walking around distance and such. But yeah, neither here nor there. But as I said, hit 95, so got Ganodermics, which has opened up a lot. You're going to be able to sort of do a lot of magic gear for everyone. The tier 80 tank Ganodermic and the Polypore staff for people who haven't been able to get to Lord of Vampirium, or Lord of Vitamins, as Shane called it. Renamed it, but that's an in-joke that we'll probably get next week or the week after on when we do the high end faith thing.
What should I do for defense to 80 to go as quick as I can? Just Slayer? Or?
Well, I mean, Slayer, I mean, I left defense on with everything else. So it was training with everything. I've been going 1 by 1. Yeah, see, I just left it on, so it's actually probably one of my highest skills now. So yeah, I'm 96 defense. So I'll have to turn it off soon. But yeah, it did that. Hit 400 quest points. Knocked out a few more quests that I wanted to get done. So I'm at 400 quest points now. Should smack out the rest of those in the next month or 2 and get my quest cape. So Yeah, sorry, what I was talking about the Lava Strike Worm. So I've decided to go for the Elite Wilderness tasks.
That's important.
Yep, because it notes the lava, the ashes from there. So just to get bulk ashes.
And then that gets us aggression pots, right?
That's right. Which we're already making aggression pots, but torsals is what we need, and bloodweed seeds. So I try any task I get in the that has wilderness creatures in it. I do in the wildy rather than anywhere else to try and just get bloodweed seeds. Yeah, but I discovered that while I can make the criminal bolts at level 87 fletching, it won't actually tick off the task unless you have 93 fletching. So working on that and 88 hunter at the moment. Because while you're able to do the things, it won't tick off the achievement for them without the
requirement.
Physical requirement, not without boosting.
Okay.
And also, sorry, my hard Tyranwin. Just wait. The hard Tyranwins are a pain in the neck because you've got to do certain things while the voice is on.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting on a Myla voice and a Iorwerth voice at the moment to just knock those out. Had to kill a bunch of elves to get a crystal weapon seed, so I do have the crystal dagger for everyone when that's so everyone can do that when they're there. But yeah.
See, we got to get to Prif. We got to get to Prif ASAP, and that's why Dungeoneering is holding us up.
But also, yeah, as I said, for those like if you're Tanis, if you haven't done Lord of Vampirium, want a T85 mage weapon, the Polypore's now unlocked. And yeah, just sort of working on getting sort of some gear for people that's better than what you have in just the basic stuff, because range and magic gear are not great at the moment.
No, they were always going to be very difficult to source.
But I mean, it's no saying. I mean, most of us are going pretty much full necro anyway.
Yeah,
we're all dark wizards.
Yep,
we're all into the black magic.
Alrighty, we do have a few achievements as well this week. Not too many of them. We have Godin up first with 120 attack, strength, defense, magic, and ranged on the 2nd, as well as Jadjor with 120 fletching on the 2nd as well. Then we have Pero Picante with 99 Dungeoneering on the 31st. Magic with underscores on the 28th got 99 prayer, and Pero Picante again got 99 archaeology on the 27th. Congratulations.
Well done, all. And I think I mentioned I had 100 I think I said it on last week's show. I hit the 99 necromancy, but
right. I got to figure out why that didn't track. Okay. Tanis, pick of the week.
Oh, the pick of the week this week is a retro game, but you can get a decent port on Steam. I picked it up this week. I think it was on sale for like $16, something like that. Old game called Carmageddon, but super
game
fun.
From my era.
Yeah, it was. So it was presented to me as a card game for blind people, and I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "You get points for running people over." Yeah. Yes. Let's go. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to win. If you can't outrun them, well, you can just run people over, or smash the other cars, and win that way. So it's just stupid fun. But if you're looking for just mindless, old time retro, just car annihilation, it's fun. It's a nice little distraction. Definitely worth the price of a couple Starbucks stops.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, for what you get for some of these games going back, and the good thing is that rather than using some sort of port mechanism, when you find them on Steam like this, you can guarantee that they're going to work with your modern day system. It's not like going through finding the old CD or disc in some cases, and hoping that they'll work on Windows 11 with all the systems that we have. They've made changes to them to ensure that they're going to be able to work for that. So, but yeah, it's showing us $11 for me.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you about the funnest part, Shane.
Uh-huh.
The funnest part are some of the options. So you can actually, there is a disability mode.
Okay.
Uh-huh. And in the disability mode, everyone are on Rascal scooters.
Oh.
And so they're all like on their Rascal scooters going across the road, at the like lights and stuff. But then you could also enable an option called suicidal, where they will get their little Rascal scooters and just kind of stop in front of your car, stop in traffic. So that's definitely 90s. We don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say you wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see that there, and that's like the early echoes of GTA and what have you on that. So
it was one of those games when it first came out that a lot of the religious parents were jumping up and down about. I remember playing it simply because there were so many complaints about it. The violence, all this. I go, I've got to check this one out. So yeah, it was in my mid-20s that one come out, I think.
Release date originally June 30th, 1997.
There you go. I was 27 years, just after my 27th birthday. There you go.
I was literally graduating.
You're right on. Okie dokie. Well, that pretty much brings us to the end of this episode. So thank you, everybody, for being here, from the Dragonwilds discussion to a little bit of mounting April Fool's shenanigans, all the way to somehow bringing sailing into RS3. It's been an episode, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd be talking that much about sailing this week, but here we are. But if you want update delivered automatically to you whenever it arrives next week for Quest Week, the best way to do that is to subscribe. Update.show/OS. Wrong show. I'm sending you to listen to old school OSRS Update episode 69 on sailing if you want to hear about that. That's why I sent you there. But if you want this show delivered automatically to you, update.show/subscribe. And we're on all the podcast listening services, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, and more, as well as YouTube at youtube.com/RSBANDB. Do like and subscribe. Greatly helps the channel out. I know that's cliche, but it indeed does. We'll be back next week for Quest Week. Thank you, Parnassius, for being here.
Thank you for having me again.
And, of course, Tanis, good having you back after spring break and all the other things that got in the way there. Always good to have you with us here.
Thanks, Shane.
And with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANDB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
See ya. Happy Skyping all.